Welcome, dear listeners. Stay with me to get the news first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on Royal Family. King Charles wanted to change the plans at the last minute, which is why Queen Elizabeth made this last appearance. He apparently thought she should be there. So her secretary went to Windsor to press the point. Queen Elizabeth had many famous moments during her 70-year reign, but some stand out more than others. Her last appearance on the balcony is one of these. She last stood on the balcony of Buckingham Palace in June 2022. At the end of her Platinum Jubilee weekend, she died a few months later. The Queen looked very moved as she looked out at the cheering crowds. Apparently, we might never have seen this moment if it weren't for King Charles. Robert Hardman's new biography, Elizabeth II, says that Queen Elizabeth was happy to watch the Platinum pageant on TV, but Charles thought things should change. He says that the Queen was once again watching TV at Windsor until the Prince of Wales thought she really needed to be there. Hardman says that Sir Edward Young, the Queen's private secretary, raced down to Windsor to make the point in person. People were able to convince Her Majesty to go to London. And soon the royal standard suddenly appeared on the flagpole above Buckingham Palace. People say the Queen arrived through the Black Gate and she went out on the balcony, where she had stood many times before, wearing green and unaided, but for her stake, King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Wales family were with her. The red arrows couldn't fly over because the weather was bad late in the day. But it doesn't matter. Hardman writes that this time the Queen herself was the grand finale. There was some doubt about whether we should be able to see Queen Elizabeth on the balcony more than was during the Jubilee weekend. The country had no idea how last minute the change of plans was or how King Charles helped convince her to make this balcony appearance, which turned out to be her last. The Queen was completely overwhelmed by the number of people waiting to see her. A source said at the same time, Queen Elizabeth mostly took a the more the merrier approach to balcony appearance during her reign. She invited not only her immediate family but also her cousins and their children and grandchildren. This would be unthinkable today. And the Queen's choice of a small group of royals in June 2022 sent a strong message. On June 5, 2022, King Charles, Queen Elizabeth II, Prince George and Prince William stand on the balcony during the Platinum pageant. Queen Camilla and the Princess of Wales helped with this, and you might not have noticed, but at one point they stood back with Charlotte and Louis. The only people left in the royal line of succession were the Queen and her three direct heirs. Katie Nicole, a royal expert, talked about this one on True Royalty TV's The Royal Beat. She said if we are going to take one picture away from the weekend, it has to be this one. A jubilee is a time to look back on the past 70 years and also to look forward to the future. When King Charles said his mother should be involved, he had a point. She clearly knew it too, and her last appearance on the balcony, which was one of hundreds she had made in her lifetime, is still a big royal moment today. Royal Family Life. A shocking claim reveals the Queen's biggest fear about Harry and Meghan. A new book about Queen Elizabeth II's life says that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle may have upset her in many ways, such as by making her afraid that they were secretly recording her. In a biography by Hugo Vickers, the author says that the Queen would ask her lady-in-waiting to stay with her while she talked to her grandson. The writer of Queen Elizabeth II, A Personal History, says the Sussexes caused the Queen a lot of pain in the last years of her life. The Daily Telegraph says that Mr. Vickens said that the late Queen was worried about talking to Harry and Meghan in person because she was afraid of leaks. Mr. Vickers said basically trust had been broken, so I think that having someone in the room was to stop them from taking pictures or being wired or whatever. Queen Camilla loves this gritty ITV crime drama, and her connections to the show and its author goes much deeper than you might think. There are a lot of royal connections in Grace, which is a successful adaptation of Peter James' long-running book series. Queen Camilla loves to read, but she also doesn't mind seeing a beloved book turned into a TV show. Grace, a popular detective drama on ITV, is now in its sixth season. It is based on Peter James' best-selling detective Superintendent Grace series. Richie Campbell, who plays DS Glenn Branson, talked to the press before the show came back to ITV and said, "Queen Camilla loves the show. Some people might think it's strange that the Queen, who is so refined, would watch something so dark and gritty. But for those who know Her Majesty well and know how she and Peter James are connected, it's not surprising at all. First of all, Queen Camilla has been a vocal supporter of the original book series that the ITV show is based on for a long time. In Peter James Grace books, Detective Superintendent Roy Grace solves a lot of hard cases in Brighton and Hove while being haunted by the fact that his wife is missing. In 2021, the Queen met the author while they were filming the series. She is said to have told him, "I love your books. I have read every single one of them." The best-selling author, who has written more than 30 novels, told the BBC that he first learned that she was a fan of his work after an interview with Daily Mirror, where she was photographed with two of his books on display. Peter then wrote the Queen right away to thank her. This is how she's not only helped him come up with a new book, but also got a small part in it. The world of royals and palaces played a big part in his most recent book, The Hawk is Dead, which came out in October 2025. James said, "I knew the palace was in disarray because of renovations, and when I heard that art was being moved, I saw my chance. I wrote my few lines and sent them to the palace. The Queen loved it. Communications from Buckingham Palace gave it the green light." In the book, DSU Grace takes the royal train from East Sussex to London, but it goes off the rails. Queen Camilla is shown in the story, helping passengers get on board. Peter also said that after he wrote to the Queen about the story, he was given a 3.5-hour tour of Buckingham Palace. There are more links between the two. Cornelia James is the mother of Peter James. She started Cornelia James, which made gloves for Queen Elizabeth II from 1979 until her death in 2022. Cornelia James was asked to make gloves to go with the dress Princess Elizabeth would wear on her honeymoon with Prince Philip in 1947, even before she was royally appointed to make Her Majesty's gloves. Genevieve James Lawson, Peter James' sister, still runs Cornelia James today. The Prince of Wales has been seen wearing gloves made by the brand many times. Queen Camilla's reaction to the embarrassing mix-up shows how funny she is. Sarah Cox, a broadcaster, told a great story that shows how Her Majesty doesn't take herself too seriously. Broadcaster Sarah Cox is excited to host a special Royal Book Day event from Windsor Castle. She might also be hoping not to have another embarrassing run-in with Queen Camilla. Sarah is in charge of a big literary event for March 5th that will include a tour of that royal library. More than 45,000 rare books and manuscripts are said to be included in this, such as annotated Shakespeare folios. Since Sarah was visiting the royal residence and we already know that Queen Camilla cares a lot about literacy, it's not surprising that Sarah was asked about any previous meetings with Her Majesty. The story she told was even funnier than we could have imagined. It gives us a glimpse into Queen Camilla's life behind closed doors, including how funny she can be. Sarah told a story from 2021 when Queen Camilla was still the Duchess of Cornwall. She made an embarrassing mistake that could have turned out badly if Her Majesty hadn't laughed it off and shown her sense of humor. Sarah told The Observer she is funny. "I met her at a party for writers that she threw at Clarence House. I thought Laura Lopes was an author I knew half of. So I told her to come over, I will introduce to the lady. Let's go over and say hi. Laura played along, so we went over and it slowly dawned on me who she was. The star said. Camilla was like, hi, to her own daughter. Sarah also said she wasn't surprised to hear that Her Majesty and the late Dame Jilly Cooper got on really well. She called them real kindred spirits. Sadly, Cooper, who was known for her racy best-selling books, died on October 5, 2025. Queen Camilla honored her friend later that month with another funny story that backs up the idea that they were kindred spirits. Queen Camilla spoke at the Rewritten Literary Festival in Berkshire and said she came to a party here a few years ago where I hope she said her famous line, "I'm going to get so absolutely plastered tonight. Darling, I love you so much that I want to see two of you. Dear Jelly, we would have loved to have seen just one of you here with us today." People have said nice things about Queen Camilla's kind and funny personality before. Paul O'Grady, who died, is said to have called the Queen a funny woman who used to greet him in a surprisingly down-to-earth way. Paul is said to have said that the Queen is a really funny woman. You can have a great laugh with her and you don't feel like you are on ceremony. He went on, I always get a big hug and a kiss from her, which always surprises everyone. The truth is, this moment says more about the future of the monarchy than people realize. When King Charles III quietly pushed for Queen Elizabeth II to appear one last time, it wasn't just about tradition. It felt like a son understanding history in real time. And honestly, I think he knew something the rest of the world didn't fully grasp yet. Because that balcony appearance, it didn't just close a chapter, it sealed the legacy. You can almost feel the weight of that decision now, knowing it became her final goodbye. But here's the deeper question. Was that moment really for the public, or was it for the family? And even more importantly, did Charles step in as a son or as a future king already shaping the narrative? That's where it gets emotional, because leadership in the royal family often shows itself in the quietest, most human decisions. Looking ahead, this could be a sign of how Charles will lead, more decisive, more aware of symbolism, and maybe more willing to act at the last second when it truly matters. But will that instinct strengthen the monarchy or create new tension behind palace doors? And if a moment like this happened again, would the next generation make the same call? Because in the end, that final balcony wave wasn't just history, it was a message still echoing today. And maybe the real story hasn't even fully revealed itself yet.